Thank you guys for jumping on. First of all, love the song. And I did hear the new one that's out on Friday. So we'll talk about that in just a second. But since you guys are a new band to me and a new band, I think, to our listeners, before we talk about the music, do you want to give a quick rundown of you guys and how you guys came together and a brief history of your band?
So Charlie and I went to school together, college together. We went to Wesleyan in Connecticut. Both of us had bands throughout college, and our other bandmate Dylan as well went to Wesleyan. And we didn't really know each other that well in college, but we were always kind of playing shows in similar locations, and we had similar friends and whatnot. He moved to Philly after school, and I moved back to LA. We ended up connecting at South by in I think 2015. We just kind of ran into each other. We were both there for work. At the time I was working in management and he was guitar teching. And yeah, we ended up hanging out the whole week, and he told me he was working on some music of his own, mostly historically a bass player, but wanted to venture into other realms. And I had actually not played bass before, but had been studying guitar and voice and all that, and I was really interested in playing bass in a band. So when he moved to LA, we ended up getting together, and sort of he played me some of the songs that he was working on, and I really loved the music. And I told him this only recently, but I actually hadn't really played the bass before, and I was like, I got it. Yeah, for sure.
I totally know how to play.
Yeah. And I mean, it ended up being the best challenge for me, because it's actually, bass is like the way I hear music and my favorite instrument to date. But yeah, that's sort of our origin story. And then we kept writing and working on things for a while. Released a song called Cherry Nails in 2017. And then actually very quickly thereafter, I ended up doing a short East Coast run supporting this band Wolf Alice, which was
awesome,
so fun. And yeah, that's sort of just like, that was the beginning of our band, and we've been sort of writing and trying different sounds and figuring out what our overall music and aesthetic is going to be. I think this album is sort of like, we've really kind of figured out what that looks like for us. And this record is sort of launching the next most significant phase of this project for us. So
very cool. I think we've all done what you said before, maybe like lie a little bit on a resume, like, oh, I totally know how to do this.
Yeah.
And then figure it out on the way.
Yeah. I played guitar and I was like, I feel like I got this.
I can do this.
It'll be fine.
I didn't know that Emily didn't know how to play. I mean, hadn't played bass very much. I just kind of assumed, and it never made clear to me that she hadn't played bass before. It immediately clicked and was easy. The challenge was finding other people to play with us. We were solid for a long time.
Yeah.
Like the first year, we had a high turnover of people, and playing drums, and Dylan plays guitar with us, and he still does, and produced this record for us. So yeah, it's we've been solid since day one.
Yeah, at least we have that. That's comforting.
So you guys have new music out. Brain Masher is what we played, and then you have a new single out on Friday. Before we talk about that song specifically, how does this new music kind of differ from what you've done in the past? You said you kind of click a little bit more as you go forward, right?
Yeah, I think we've figured out our process of recording music because we had so much time over the pandemic to work on it. Originally, when the pandemic started, we were on tour, and it was day 3 of the tour. We were in Phoenix, and then everything got canceled. And the whole point of the tour was to practice, learn these new songs and figure out how we wanted to play them as a band and kind of feel them out, because I feel you learn a lot from playing new songs live before recording them, because you can also see how people react. And so we basically missed our opportunity to do that because of the pandemic. So we came back to LA, and we basically put everything on hold and didn't start recording until the end of the summer, but had a lot of time to sit with everything and kind of send demos back and forth between each other and kind of like pick and choose what we like and get really deep into each of the songs, and figure out what, like, usually there's always something that could be worked on a little bit more on a song, and you can either let it go or you can really hold on to it. And if you hold on to it too long, I feel like it can make you lose your mind. But we have so much time to lose our mind and come back to normal.
Everyone lost their mind. Yep.
Exactly.
Yeah. So it like definitely got embedded in these songs. And I feel like we, you know, there's a lot of emotions in the songs just because of everything that we've all collectively have experienced this past 2 years.
Yeah, it's really interesting to hear new music come out that was created during that time, because it's like a lot of people maybe abandon what they were going to do and went in a different direction just because of life in general changing. So it's really interesting to hear that music come out, you know?
Yeah,
Actually wrote a song that's going to be on this record, obviously pre-pandemic, pretty significantly pre-pandemic, which lyrically is so spooky. It talks about like being stuck at home and wishing you were anywhere else. And we historically have sort of like a witch energy in this band, predicting the future. So
very prophetic.
There's some stuff on this record that while working on it, we were like, oh man, we gotta use this power for good.
Next song, right about, you know, becoming millionaires.
Everyone being
it's like
world peace.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's like a lot of lyrics that were written during the pandemic, but then there's like this entire song that was written before, and it basically sounds like it was written during the pandemic. Yeah. So weird.
What's it called? Can you tell us?
It's called Talk to Me.
Okay. I'll listen for that when it comes out. Your new single is out tomorrow, I See a Dip. Do you want to talk about that song specifically, kind of the background on it?
Part of me feels like this song is kind of at the core of this entire album. It's the first song that we wrote that's on this album. Sequentially, it was the first one, and it's the one that we did play live the most before the album came out. And I think it kind of like touches on themes that are throughout all the songs that we've written, and kind of focusing on like trusting yourself and not letting, you know, yourself get in your way, and other people get in your way when you're trying to work through something, especially something creative. And yeah, the song is kind of about talking yourself through being able to do something and gaining that confidence. So that's kind of, you know, the vibe of the song. And it's the most kind of joyous song that we have, I would say. It's very like, you know, danceable and kind of pop in a way that we haven't been in the past. And I'm excited about that. I'm like nervous about doing more pop oriented songs, but it also was really exciting to record it and figure out how to make it our own in a way.
Just to add to that, I remember when, so most of our songs sort of start with Charlie coming up with an idea lyrically or musically or otherwise, and then we develop them from there. And we were in New York in 2018, and he sent me like the roughest, earliest draft of this song. And I remember him being like, I don't even know if this is a song. I don't know if I like it. You tell me. And I was walking to a rehearsal of ours in Brooklyn, just listening to it in my headphones. And I was like, oh, I am so excited about this song. It's so beautiful. I don't know what you're talking about. It's incredible. I just remember always having like a gut feeling about it, that it was going to be really special to this project. So yeah, it's nice to have had that as an anchor, and then to see everything develop sort of like you said around that being the first moment. I think that for me was like, it hit me when we were listening to it. I was like, oh, 2.0 of our band. So I'm really excited.
It's a really good song. I'm excited to play it on Sunday. Maybe shifting or going in a little different direction. Like you said, it's a little more pop than what you've done. Does that happen organically, or is there any kind of like attempt to do that? Why do you think that happened in this song?
Well, it's kind of, the song is self-referential because I feel like my background is being in punk bands. I also used to make industrial music. I've done a lot of stuff that's kind of like outsider music in a way, like sound-oriented work, like not songwriting. And I've always felt very like attached to that as part of my identity as a musician, that I like am not tied to traditional song structure. And so doing a traditional song or like writing a pop song is a challenge for me. And it's something that I thought I was purposefully resisting in order to like stay cool or whatever. But I realized that what it is that I was just kind of scared to do it and didn't know if I could. And I think that this song was like the first time that it took a while to embrace it, but that's kind of what the song is, like embracing trying something new, even if it feels like wrong or not you. Like the only way that you learn is by doing it. And sometimes it works out great and sometimes it doesn't at all. And being able to like cope with those two things is something that I've been learning as a musician over the past, working with this band specifically, because yeah, I want us to have an identity musically, and I also want us to be able to just do whatever we want and not feel like restricted in any way. And so that's kind of, it's taken me the past 3 years to be okay with that. So that's kind of how this song came to existence.
I think too, that's sort of reflected in the album as a whole. Like there are definitely some really beautiful tracks on this record, but it's also like our most sonically experimental body of work. I'd say it has the most variety of anything we've put out before, and you can still tell it's us, but we're sort of like pushing the corners of the boundaries of genres we've worked in and referenced before. And I think that's really exciting. Like there are a few songs now. Historically, Charlie has always been lead vocals and I've sung harmony. There's a few songs where we're sort of playing off each other. One song in particular, I sing the chorus, and then one song I don't even play bass, which is new. Some of our stuff is more electronic. The ending of the album is really weird and cool. I'm just really excited about, I think it represents a freedom in songwriting that, like Charlie's been saying, we hadn't explored to this level before, and I think it's benefited us.
And also we're better to do that, but in our first album. It's like, I feel like this is the type of conversation that bands have further down the line, but I feel like we've lived so many lives as musicians already that we like are fast forwarding into our first album and trying to be as experimental as possible so that we
That's
enjoy
good.
it.
Yeah, I mean, you get people that call you and say, hey, this song, why are you playing it? It doesn't fit the genre. But working for an alternative station, like people don't do that. Like I feel like alternative fans, they don't care.
Yeah.
If it's a good song, it's a good song. And so I appreciate bands that are willing to put a bunch of different sounds on the album. And you said, the song is kind of poppy, but I describe it as cool pop. It's still cool. You know what I mean? So I appreciate that.
Awesome.
Our list of favorite artists collectively as a band has a lot of pop on it. I don't think that we're scared of the genre, but yeah, making pop and making it well is not an easy task sometimes. So I think, while it's definitely pop in terms of like, it's really relatable universally, I think in a way that some of our other songs are a little more genre based, like post-punky, new wave, what have you. There's still us to it. It's still quirky and weird. And we just finished a video for it as well, which will come out in a few weeks. And it's sort of similarly, it's like joyous, but super creepy.
I love it.
Like weird undertones.
Really weird.
I love it.
Yeah. Which is how I would define us. Happy, but also weird, creepy.
That can describe our whole building. So
perfect.
We fit in very well.
Our people.
Yeah, there seems to be a very like experimental art element to your guys's like visual presence.
Yeah.
Where does that come from? Is that a vision you guys just have for the band, or?
Yeah, I'm basically I studied visual art in school.
Cool.
And I didn't do music in school. That's not true. I played tuba in the orchestra.
Yes, a fact I learned this week. I can't believe
but I
this long to tell me.
I didn't focus in music or anything. I just I focused in art. And so then in Philadelphia, and basically was trying to figure out how to marry these two things, music and art. And it just feels like there are bands that have naturally done that in the past. And in some ways, in a lot of like scenes in New York and Philly and LA, I feel like it's very separate for some reason. Like there's art people and then there's music people, and the crossover is harder to come by than I expected. I was like, the visual part of this band needs to be as important as the music in a way. So basically what me and Emily kind of have worked through is that every time we've released something, we try to have some kind of specific visual element that's either part of the merch, part of the album artwork, part of the music video, part of all of it. And that's been something that we've been experimenting with all the music we put out so far. And I feel like that's something that's really developed over the course of our short time playing as a band. And then so that for this album, we were really prepared to, basically use what we've learned from doing that before and really apply it methodically across the entire release. So the album cover, which we announced the album like 2 weeks ago, has the two figures that I sent you the stickers of.
Mm-hmm.
I think.
Yeah, I have them right there, just out of frame. It's like
how can we? No.
Right here. I don't know if
I believe you.
Oh, it's right behind my computer.
Yeah.
They're there.
Awesome.
So those two figures are like kind of the two main characters of the album, and they're these two kind of monsters. And they're basically, we find them in a bunch of different settings. And that's what the single artwork is for each of the songs. And then the album artwork is them in their kind of like home setting. And then this music video that's coming out for I See a Dip is basically like the monster creation story of the two, how they came into existence. And so
awesome.
Basically we're trying to, like thread the needle through this entire album and see how these two kind of monsters are like fun and weird and creepy, and how they relate to each song. I make all the clothes. So like the clothes that we're wearing in that photo of the monsters is like, I made all of that for me and Emily, and we'll probably be like incorporating that into the live show.
I was gonna say, Charlie,
awesome.
Jumpsuit making workshop on Zoom during the pandemic to make me a jumpsuit, which is honestly the most flattering thing anyone's ever done for anyone. I love it so much.
It was also, it was a Marxist jumpsuit making class. So it was like learning about Marx theory and then also learning how to do labor and sew something. It was, it was like exactly my interest.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it was cool.
I love that. Yeah, the pandemic brought a lot of those things to us. We're like, we can learn anything.
Yeah.
Well, we're very excited for 2022. So the debut album is Medium Complications, right? Out in March. What else is in store for you next year? Do you have any, of course, the album, but any like touring plans or anything like that?
Yeah, it's all in the works right now. We confirmed South by a couple weeks ago and are planning a tour around that. So definitely in March, trying to hit as much of the US as possible, hopefully coming to Colorado. We may have we're going to have a few really special album release shows, which we will announce details about soon.
Okay.
But yeah, we're trying to be road dogs next year. So as much as it's possible, definitely a big leg in March, and then some other stuff that we'll be announcing next year. Part of our whole plan of releasing an album around then and touring around then is hoping that we can really make that first tour back special and do as much as possible. So
yeah. Well, I appreciate you guys jumping on with us. One more question before I let you go. I like to ask, what's the best piece of advice that a musician has ever given you that you would give somebody else?
Oh, that's a really good question.
I actually have one I was just saying this out loud in terms of stage performance and dealing with stage anxiety. I think COVID kind of changed this for me a lot because I'm playing bass in another band too, and we played a really big festival. It had been in a long time since I stood in front of a crowd. It was like 10,000 people. And I was just like trying to focus on like it's such a privilege to be able to do that. And the people standing in front of you are just so stoked to be able to see music again. And just like, my best advice is like trying your hardest not to get in your own way and let fears get in your own way, and just like really enjoy the fact that you can make music.
Yeah, that's like a big theme with both of us. I feel like that's just from I started touring when I was like 18. So having so many years of doing that, and just like, yeah, not getting in your own way. Know that the people that are there to see you play a live show are just gonna be stoked no matter what. And if they're not, that it's like not focus on that one person that makes you feel weird after the show, because there's always that person.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
There's always that one person that says something weird, and then that's what stays in your head forever. I can think of like 50 of them right now.
Me too.
And to focus on the fact that there are people like, you know, up against the barricade, ready to see you play and are stoked.
Yeah.
It's really easy to fixate on that one person rather than the, you know, hundreds of others that had an amazing time.
Totally.
Our stupid brains do that to us. I know exactly what you're talking about. Well, really excited. Of course, the song is out tomorrow. I'll play it on Sunday here on X1039. Album out in March. Then hopefully we can see you around that time. I appreciate you guys taking the time.
Awesome.
Thank you so much. It was great to talk to you.